Hey everyone, happy Friday and welcome to the Rebel Roundtable. I am your Rebel Esquire host, Jen Lee, and I am super excited today. I'm always super excited, but I love to talk to people who speak my language. And today we get to talk about turnover and systems, and you're probably blaming the wrong thing. And I have Ariel Perez here, who is the founder of Akaveil Technologies, and fantastic company that works with law firms on IT services as managed. He also does cloud solutions, cybersecurity, and AI driven automation. So obviously, he's one of my favorite people in the world. Thank you for being here, Ariel.
Well, Jen, thank you for having me. That was an awesome introduction. Um, well, a little bit about
Yeah,
me,
tell us
and
about your how you got into this.
well, it's a long journey, but I've been in the IT industry for about 20 years.
Yeah.
Uh, Most of those years, I worked for other MSPs, managed services providers.
Mhm.
And during that time, I've had the opportunity to be exposed to many different types of IT scenarios, verticals, and industries. So, uh, being able to be exposed to the retail world, legal world, manufacturing, health, construction. So, seeing a lot of different challenges and situational, as well as many different vendors and what they offer and vendor growth and management and things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, Through that journey, actually, um, I've always had in mind to be an entrepreneur, kind of lead my own path. Always had troubles with my previous bosses. I wanted to kind of
I'm
dictate
shocked.
the
Totally
future,
shocked.
and that I think was the reason why I felt so strongly about doing my own thing, but ultimately more so about helping other people,
Yeah.
right? Because I was part of maybe more of a bureaucracy where there was no control of mine to make decisions, and all of a sudden it was a little bit frustrating. But now, uh, you know, amongst my team, while we dictate the future, we build Akaveil technologies with that in mind. Helping the legal industry, and I'll tell you why we became the legal vertical in a minute. But
Yeah.
it's more about educating others,
Yeah.
especially the legal industry, about technology and why do they need technology and the
Yep.
challenges and the nuances and the things that they don't know and hard to make decisions because they don't know, right? The lack of
And
education becomes
but the
very
legal
like
industry, yeah, the legal industry isn't easy because they're all very stuck in this old, that's how it's always been done mindset.
that. That's correct.
Yeah.
Uh, so the legal vertical became uh, the lead kind of infrastructure for us because in the past that we worked with other legal vendors who uh, I had a great relationship with. And when I started Akaveil Technologies, that became the lead source for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in the very first couple of months of the company's inception,
Mhm.
we started getting all kinds of different law practices uh, to help them with email creation, management, and things like that.
Yeah.
And then that was especially during COVID.
Mhm.
So when COVID happened, a lot of people were remote; they couldn't work from the office. So we then embraced the cloud. So
Yeah.
this is why our company is called Akaveil, aka, and the word veil, if you
Yeah.
don't know, is also known as, and the word veil is a synonym of cloud.
Mhm.
So that's why we are considered a cloud technology company only, and for legal industry.
Got it.
And what we've done is we spend a lot of time and making sure that we have built a cloud practice
Mhm.
for the legal industry with tons of security mindset and really thinking about the growth perspective and scalability in mind.
Yeah.
So
So a lot of law firms, I see this with the technology side of things. They think they have a turnover or retention problem, like a people problem. You have a different opinion on what their problem is. What is their actual problem instead of like the people being the problem? Is it
well,
actually their tech?
to be honest with you, I think so. It's one of the systemic problems, the
Yeah.
technology side of things. There's a group of systemic issues. It could be a cognitive overload. It can be consistent workflows. It
Yep.
can be poor onboarding processes. There's all kinds of systemic problems.
Yep.
But I think that technology friction, right, is one of the bigger problems that they have
Yep.
when
Yep.
it comes to turnover. And we can deep dive into what I think those are.
Let's talk. So, because I always see that they have a hard time hiring, or they have, another resignation came in and that's ruined their whole workplace. Um, from the systemic side of things, what do you see there? That friction is important, but I think it's also an inability to see other options sometimes. Like they can't see the forest for the trees.
Well, in my past experiences and the conversations I've had with many law firms, I think there's a little bit of a lack of technology education,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And is not in any way, shape, or form their mistake or something that they should know, but
Yeah.
because of the inability to accept maybe change, because lawyers don't like change. They
Yeah.
stick with their own IT person for years, right? 10, 15 years. You ask a law firm, who manages your IT? Oh, a friend of mine from 15 years ago.
Right.
Uh, and then they feel that, just their document management systems and their email is all they need to run their practice. And then now with all of the AI nuances, it's a little bit more confusing. Like,
Yeah.
what do I use? What do I need? So all of a sudden now is like, well, I in the beginning of time, I wasn't educated from a foundational technology standpoint, and now I'm being thrown at all of these different things. So what do I do as a farm?
And it's so overwhelming. Like
It
there's
is
all
very
these things
overwhelming,
being
super
thrown at you.
overwhelming. And mind you, if there's such a rapid growth like that, it's
Yep.
really difficult to put processes in place,
Yep.
right? And most processes usually go from people, processes, and tools. You need all of the different parts together. So
Yep.
that's where you see all this turnover in staff because it's overwhelming.
Yep.
There's lack of process, lack of infrastructure, lack of systems in place that would actually create those foundational. So then when you do the hiring, all of a sudden you have staff in the office, but they have systems who are not reliable, they break, lack of communication.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that easily expands, the frustration level expands so quickly
Yeah.
that all of a sudden is like, well, I quit, right? Because there's real no original foundation.
Right.
So what starts wrong ends wrong, right? It's my opinion.
Let's talk about onboarding a little bit. Talk about what the problem is with onboarding, kind of, but we'll figure it out versus having a system or a way to onboard new staff.
I think onboarding takes a lot of effort,
Yes.
right? Uh, it takes a lot of effort because I think there's a lot of pre-planning that has to happen first.
Mm-hmm.
In order to onboard someone, really, you would have to have probably interview maybe a lot of people,
Right.
right? And what most companies do is they hire someone out of impulse, right, and frustration,
Yeah.
and they continue to make that same mistake over and over and over, right? What I see as a lack of, for better words, lack of process, is that in order for you to hire an A player, right, that would be able to come in into your infrastructure and make you know drastic changes for the better, uh, it's just not happening,
Yep.
right? So
Yep.
I think that every organization should have A players versus C players, right?
Yep.
Because your staff make a difference. But now, if you don't have those foundations in place, well, first and foremost, you're not going to be able to have that process in place to hire the A player.
Right.
Mind you, you don't have the systems in place to be able to maintain that moving forward.
Right. And A players want to work for A players. They don't want to work for scattered
Right.
uh,
Yeah. So
craziness. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I see, and what I also see happening nowadays is that you have big law firms
Mm-hmm.
that are all of a sudden you have lawyers moving away from these law firms and starting to have create open new
Yep.
companies as a
Yep.
solopreneur.
Yep.
But at the same time, I see a list of questions that, well, I just became a solopreneur and I want to open my office. What is the best, legal application that I should be using?
Mm-hmm.
What is the processes in place? So I actually do see uh, that lack of education when it comes to venturing on your own from a legal perspective. Now,
Yeah.
so now you got private equities trying to open offices and invest in offices. They're not even lawyers themselves.
Right. Yep.
So how do we mitigate this problem? Well, and in our firm, right, as a company, because we work with many different types of law firms, that being in the personal injury, estate planning, immigration, family law, they all have different processes. The other
Right.
day, I had a call, had a great conversation with a family law practice, and one of the main pain points was intake, right?
Yep.
So intake, and mainly in the financial intake side of things. So,
Yes.
but not only that, we're using about 5 to 6 different vendors to accomplish one task,
Mhm.
right? So one was doing an intaker, the other one was using Clio Manage, and then the other one was, within the office was using another fine law. So all of these different integrations still did not tie into one single uh, knowledge base. So
Right.
we're especially like this, 3 different offices
Yep.
with 3 different office managers with 3 different types of practices ain't taking the same information. It's all chaotic. So
Yeah.
all of a sudden this is where you find that the systems are not in place to be able to sustain, right,
Yeah.
that type of growth and that type of process.
And it's frustrating to work in that because it's inefficient. Like you're
Super.
re-entering data from one to the other. You're trying to do imports. You're trying to zap from here to there sometimes to make things work together. So it's frustrating from the frontline employee standpoint too. And that's again why they end up leaving is it's just so frustrating.
Totally agree. So I wish I would have a magic wand and have just
One
a one
solution.
fix all. But what we do well is, we try to have a great onboarding process
Yep.
for our customers.
Yep.
And then once they become a customer, we build a practice, technological practice that they would actually be able to use those processes to do the onboarding, the have happy staff where they actually understand the systems.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit more uh, streamlined, I would say,
Yeah.
right? That, for example, I'll give you an example. Is, for example, we build a cloud practice with Azure Virtual Desktop,
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
And that Azure Virtual Desktop it's a Microsoft cloud where we monitor the user's identity instead of really just the moving parts.
Mhm.
Everyone will access that cloud environment remotely from anywhere in the world, and then we will have strong security controls in place that would allow the users to really just be secure. Now, from a process and collaborative standpoint, there's tons of collaborative platforms in place where we have Copilot in place, which we do a readiness for that. We have Microsoft Teams, SharePoint Online with document libraries, and of course, any other document systems that the law firms use integrated in part of that system. Uh, so on top
When
of that, we also have a development team that would actually have a financial intake process that helps with intake and some of this scattered documentation that a law firm has that creates problems.
One of the things you mentioned there was like there's not this one size, one tool out there that fixes all these problems. And I think that's important to point out that law firms are each and unique. And that's what makes that's the marketing standpoint. That goes to their brand. And so having someone like you be able to structure something specifically for the type of law firm they want is better than having the one tool that everybody is using that doesn't do it well for anybody because it's so generic that they're trying to be everything to everybody.
Yeah, I mean, there's great tools out there,
Yeah.
right? And for example, you have Clio Manage, Clio Grow, you have
Yep.
Lomatics, you have Zapier integrations, you
Practice
have all these
Panther, all the
different
things out there.
vendors,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they do great things,
Yeah.
right? But while those systems can be in place, a there's still a
There's still
systems
a gap.
problem.
Yeah. There's still a
Yeah, I
gap.
mean, if there's no core infrastructure and foundation,
Yep.
and understanding of what that is, you're still going to face problems, and you're still going to try to go on to the next tool and the next tool and the next
Yep.
tool
You
to
keep
solve
trying
that
things.
immediate need. So,
Do
I
you Sorry, do you ever see it? So going on to that, going on the next tool, do you ever get clients that come in and their tools they have actually do what's needed, but they never set them up correctly? Like all you have to do is like actually configure the workflows and things like that, and then it works.
all the time.
Yeah.
For example, right, I have customers. We're a Microsoft shop, right?
Yep.
We leverage Teams and all of Microsoft services and products,
Yep.
and we have customers who don't use Teams at all.
Mhm.
For example, Microsoft Teams has has planners, has
Yep.
task schedulers, has approval processes,
Yep.
uh, all within the ecosystem, and hardly anyone uses the potential of their software.
Yep. Yep.
And it's because they believe that email is all they need, and that's it, right? But it will, I think this is, I think personally, I think this is what's happening. Lots of managed services providers, IT companies out there, they do cookie cutter services.
Yep.
What
Yep.
what do
Exactly.
I mean by that? Cookie cutter services is I'll install an agent on your computer to monitor the asset. I will
Mhm.
install a antivirus, software also on the computer to make sure you don't get a ransomware. And all of a sudden, if you call with a problem, I'll help you with anything you have, right?
Right.
But that's not scalable, and that's really what exists out there in most MSPs. There is the lack of real process and care for the customer, and really the utilization of the tools they already have that they pay for. Because, for example, they're paying for, as part of your Microsoft license, right? The premium that most people use now is Microsoft Premium. You have Intune, right? You have the security features from that license that you can leverage. From conditional access into management for all your assets, Teams,
Yep.
SharePoint, already in place.
Mhm.
Uh, but to to my experiences and knowledge, a lot of them don't use it.
Yep. Yeah. That's what I see too. I will see law firms who have adopted some kind of practice management system, whether it's Clio or Practice Panther or My Case or whatever they're using. But then when they brought it into the firm, they didn't customize it. They didn't think about their workflows. They didn't do anything that you need to rethink your processes because how it works in the new system doesn't fit like an old paper file system. And so they're frustrated with it. They want to find a new tool. And I'm like, you don't need a new tool. You need to fix the one you have so that it
The other
works
thing
in
that
your
I'm
process.
finding,
Yeah.
the other thing that I actually encounter
Hmm.
is that bigger law firms, maybe in the 25 user law
Yep.
firms,
Yep.
they have on-premise hardware,
Yes.
right? Like a domain controller that's
Yep.
ancient, a terminal server with terminal services
Yep.
that's ancient, maybe a local SQL server for database queries. Mind you, right? That is that creates lots of problems.
It's a huge security risk.
A huge security risk, and at the same time, lots of maintenance and overhead,
Yeah.
tons.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, and I tell you, I just had a call the other day from a law firm in Seattle. They are probably over $100,000 a year in expenses, uh, just from a combination from the hardware and IT.
Yeah.
And they're having challenges. They reached out the other day and they said, "I we need to speak.
Hmm.
I'm tired of all of the problems we're going through, and we need to, have a meeting to talk about changes and how we can, revamp from our current infrastructure." That
Yep.
goes to show that not only the owner of the firm is having challenges, but everybody in the firm is facing those challenges,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And the systems, your systems. Lots of companies out there, law firms have old systems that are not scalable and they will not scale
Yep.
at all.
Yes.
Uh,
I agree. And they're frustrated they can't retire, that no one wants to take over their firm and no one wants the mess that is there. They just
that's
open up
correct.
the new attorneys just go open up their own firms and they can be the solopreneur and have a cloud-based system. You can spin that up in a couple of days.
And it's scalable,
Yeah.
it's secure. That you have the ability to, as Microsoft comes out with new services, adopt those services as part of the infrastructure.
Yep.
It's really a game changer, to be honest with you. We put out tons of educational information out there for everyone to see.
Hmm.
Our goal is to really educate the legal industry,
Yeah.
um, in terms of what's working out there and what's convenient. Not every law firm needs everything.
Right.
So, we have the ability to implement and only provide what the unique law firm is requiring. So from a solopreneur to 5 user law firm to, 100 people.
Yeah.
Um, from a technology standpoint, it's all the same, but obviously it's structured a little different in terms of the needs of the resources and things like that.
Right. I know you're a fan of AI and automation and you have some great developers on staff or that you work with. What kinds of AI and automation are you seeing for efficiencies and things like that these days?
Well, one of was the one we're developing, to be honest with you. Actually, we're developing two different ones. We have one for financial intake processes, and it
Okay.
started because we have a few estate planning law firms
Okay.
who had the real need to intake information from their customers, and it was very problematic, just the communication part
Yeah,
and
it's hard to
receiving the
get that stuff from
information.
people. Yeah.
So we build an MVP product for the estate planning law firms
Cool.
to ease that problem. So now we have that as a kind of beta product to be able to ease that, the process of information. That what that does is
I was
we
gonna say, what
leverage.
does it do? What does
Yeah,
the
so we leverage Gemini. It's very secure, and what that does is you dump a ton of financial data into the platform. It takes really just measured in seconds to process the information. It could be a Schwab account, assets, bank statements. It doesn't matter what it is. We have trained the system to learn of the different templates. Then
okay.
it reads all the financial information. It puts things into different buckets, and then outputs it into more of a readable format and spreadsheet to make decisions after that.
Okay, cool.
Uh, and then the second one we're working with, which is very similar, is a bankruptcy intake process. This one is going to have more of a customer portal where the customers can log in, put their information, have bi-directional information back and forth. We've gotten a ton of feedback from other bankruptcy attorneys to understand what that looks like.
Mhm.
But eventually, that we're hoping to help mitigate, some of these challenges that we see in the industry from an intake process.
Yeah, I mean, talking about financial information in general for lawyers, whether it's estate planning, family law, bankruptcy, that is probably the one of the biggest pain points is gathering that
It is.
information
It
and
is.
having something that digests it for us would be hugely helpful. So,
Yeah. So, I mean, we spend a lot of time in just that particular item.
yeah.
I think that the less, the better. We're concentrating in something very specific versus fixing all the problems. I think one of the, bigger issues is the financial side of things.
Mhm.
And then really, really putting a lot of energy just in that part to be able to come up with something that the legal industry can use.
That
And
actually
and
works. Yeah.
because let me tell you, it'll work for a lot of different practices. It'll work for the estate planning. It'll work
Yep.
for the bankruptcy attorney. It'll work for the family law firm that use some of the financial stuff too.
Yep.
Uh, so I think we'll cover different angles there.
Yeah. And I find that a lot of attorneys struggle with that process because they do have a very manual process in their offices, whether it's estate planning, family, whatever. It's a consumer facing practice. The gathering of information is often manual. It's someone trying to follow up with it, trying to get text messages of JPEG pictures and things like that, and just trying to get it all together. So it's definitely an area of efficiency if something can be developed that works. Yeah.
Yeah, you have law firms who are still receiving paper mail
Yeah.
information,
Yep.
and once they receive that in the office, they still have to scan it,
Yep.
right? The scanning nuances are also a problem, right?
Yep.
Because you're scanning personal information into either sometimes a local computer,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where that can also become a security risk. So there's a lot of challenges there that I see from both the challenges of that process, but also the security side of things also.
Yeah.
So when there are firms who don't have that secure, infrastructure, then you're opening up the gap of that vulnerability space.
Yeah. Well, if they're receiving mail, they probably have a server in the garage too. That's usually my
Oh,
experience.
probably.
That's
Probably.
usually what it looks like. Um,
Yeah.
what like it seems like a lot of law firms, the one in Seattle that called you, they're often kind of in a reaction mode. They're constantly reacting to fires, to whatever they're trying to get done. Is there a mindset shift that you see with some of these law firm owners when they start looking at cloud-based? Do they have to like shift how they think about things?
I do. There's usually a lot of conversation around the change,
Yeah.
especially because lawyers don't like change. And the one of the questions asked is, what is the education,
Hmm.
curve for my staff with this new system,
Yep.
right? Are we going to change the whole entire way of doing things?
Hmm.
Well, in my mind, is you're already doing things that are not getting you anywhere,
Right.
right?
Anything is better
Uh,
than this.
right. But to be honest with you, you are also already using the products that will also be in a cloud infrastructure, right? Because all of the Microsoft services, your
For cloud.
email, the applications that you currently use are still going to be the same. It's just more like a lift and ship into a different infrastructure that has a different structure together in terms of scalability and security. But from a usability perspective, you're going to continue to use the same service, products that you're using today. The difference is that we do have a team that would educate you on how to better use your current products that you have. Like, for example, we have a team that is strictly focused on Copilot and the
Hmm.
Copilot readiness and how to use Copilot correctly.
Right.
Because some people, what we have found is that they implement Copilot out of the box,
Hmm.
and that's a huge vulnerability. And I'll tell you why. Because Copilot will go in, and if you ask it, what is everybody's salary, it'll spit it out and tell you,
Oops.
right?
Yeah.
Oops, now everybody in the firm, whoever asks, well, they don't know, what the colleague salary is. And
Yeah.
that's actually a true fact. So what we do is, before that happens, is we do a readiness assessment where we go in and make sure all the securities and permissions are in place. Then you can adopt Copilot, for the infrastructure for your specific needs and of the organization. And that is, and the same goes for other things, education on Microsoft SharePoint, Microsoft Teams, and how to use and leverage those softwares and things like that. And they find that once they actually learn the system and they know the system, they can do their work a lot better.
Yeah. It's very true. I think a lot of the education gets missed when firms implement technology changes. And I've been guilty of this myself. Like, I'm like, oh, this is easy. I'm just going to implement this. And then, there's lots of friction involved. The
I'll
education
tell
part's
you
really
another thing
important.
that's happening.
Yeah.
Uh, and this is one of the biggest complaints is when I get when I get when I fire a staff member or a staff member leaves,
Yeah.
now I have to remember where did I give them permissions to and what software did they have access to, so
Yeah.
then I can offboard them from these platforms, right? So what's happening is throughout the employment, of the person in that firm, they had access to many different portals, right? But when they leave, how do you remember? I get that question asked all the time.
Yeah.
So the way that we have mitigated that problem is by leveraging single sign-on. So single sign-on allows that staff to only sign into one location, one credential, and will give them access to the different portals and platforms that the law firm uses. This
Hmm.
way, when the staff leaves the organization, they only have to worry about one location,
Right.
not many different locations, which exposes security risks.
Right. Right. The
And
more,
that's one of the questions that many law firms have actually, and many law firms have a problem with.
yeah, it's true because things live in different places. And if you don't know what was done on a case, or you don't know like what was communicated, because there's a Slack channel and there's a Teams channel and there's a whatever that you
Yeah,
can have access to, it's all over the place. So, as we try to wrap this up a little bit, because I try to only go for about 30 minutes or so,
yeah, no
um,
problem.
tell us where to find you. How do we reach out to you if someone wants some managed services IT knowledge dumped on them? Where do they find you?
Uh, so we have a website, www.akaveil.com. In the website, there's a free assessment. There's a contact us form.
Perfect.
It's easy to reach us there. They can write info@akaveil.com, or they can call us on the website itself has a number to reach out to us as well.
Perfect.
And we're happy to help anyone that may be facing challenges when it comes to technology in the legal
Yeah.
industry. Uh, and tons of other information, just educational. If you just want to talk about, challenges, no real strings attached, happy to do that as well. We've done this for many others, so happy to do that.
Very good. And the last thing we have on the Rebel Roundtable is we have a Spotify playlist of all of our Rebel anthems that we use to pump ourselves up. do you have a song that you want to add to our playlist that you listen to get yourself jacked up? And it's
A
okay if you don't.
song.
But yeah. If you have a song that you like, your rebel anthem, maybe by Eminem.
Yeah, the one by Eminem is good.
Lose yourself. Yeah, that's what
Use Yourself,
we
yeah,
talked about.
by
Yeah.
Eminem.
Yeah. That's a fun one. I'm looking forward to adding that to our Spotify playlist. There's all kinds of different
I
things
think
on
I wrote
there.
you that one the other
Yep.
day.
Yep. You wrote that one to me the other day. So, well, I thank you for being here and nerding out with me on fun technology things for law firms.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for the invite.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, this is I don't usually do this. I think this is my first time that I
You
really
did
speak
great.
about
See?
technology and nuances and challenges and and
Look,
it's all true. I mean, I see it. I live it every day with our potential our prospects and customers who come in with challenges. So happy to help at the end of the day.
yeah. Well, thank you. And everyone else, I will not be live next week on the Rebel Roundtable because I will be in San Antonio at the Innovations and Technology Conference.